All right, today let's work on opening up the hand and the forearm. So we're gonna work on the palmar fascia and then the flexors of the forearm. I find it interesting that no one tends to work specifically the palmar fascia, considering that every weight you ever hold will be through these tissues, and then obviously a lot of work into the forearm. Now it's common that people might do some forearm curls, some reverse curls, some wrist work, and obviously every time we're doing something like a heavy deadlift, a bar hang, farmer's carries, we are training the grip. But one of the prerequisites when it comes to developing strong connective tissue, which are most of the injuries that I tend to see when it comes to the hand or a lot of the forearm, because a lot of issues with grip strength tend to show up right at the elbow on the inside. That's the medial epicondyle right here. That's also known as golfer's elbow, excuse me. So when it comes to most grip exercises, you're going to see that most people are just holding a fist or holding a bar, and that's not putting the tissues of the fingers and the hand and the palm at length. So this is what I call the Spider-Man stretch, because it reminds me of if Spider-Man was crawling, or if you were doing a Spider-Man impression, you'd be kind of spreading out your fingers. And it's similar to the position you might do fingertip push-ups with, which is another great exercise, by the way. I might show you a couple in this video. But today I want to show you the stretch. Now, what I need to tell you guys is this is immensely beneficial, and over time it's going to really work and build your connective tissue in the hand. So if you're a rock climber, awesome. If you do Spartan races, great. Or it's just a great way of building connective tissue. But since you haven't spent a lot of time training it, this stretch goes 0 to 100 real quick. So I would encourage that when you start to do your contractions and flexing, that for the first couple weeks to not go for broke, to not do a max effort. I would spend at least 4 weeks building up before you do your first max effort flex. You should get to that point, but let me show you the stretch. Now, instead of just stretching the forearm flexors with a flat wrist, which you're going to commonly see with a backwards hand, or you might see people lean and rock with it, what we're going to have our hand is we're going to have our hand set up almost like Spider-Man, so it's going to be up in the air, and I'm going to have strong fingers. So I'm going to make sure that I have strong fingers, and it's almost going to look like a tent or a teepee where I've got the stakes in the ground. Now, I'm going to show you guys this. If you do this off a mat, I find that it's nice, but both the mat and the floor might have different advantages. You're going to find when you flex into the floor, it gives right back to you. When you flex into the mat, there's a little bit of give, so this might be a great place to start and then build to the floor. So if I act like Spider-Man, I'm going to actually flip my wrist around, and then to find the stretch, I'm going to have nice, straight, strong hands. I'm going to start to pull my elbow back towards my body, and it's almost like if I was trying to balance a shot glass on my forearm, I would have to get my forearm almost parallel with the ground. You can see that if I had a shot glass or a glass of water, it'd spill off. Now, you'd have to have incredible range of motion to be able to get a parallel forearm. You might see that only in gymnastics or people that do high-level Olympic weightlifting. But now that I've got this, I feel the stretch in the center of the hand. So if I flip that to the side, I'm here. I have strong fingers. It looks like Spider-Man starting to cast his web. And I feel that stretch in the center of the hand. I feel it right up here where my watch attaches and about midway through the forearm. Once I'm here, we're going to explore the stretch. I often find that when people start to bring their elbow out towards their thumb, so you can see I'm moving the stretch that way, that's going to kind of wind up more into this part of the forearm. You might feel that differently in the palm. You can do a little bit of scooting with the fingers to kind of find different angles of stretch. You can bias one or more of the fingers. You can bias a little bit more of the thumb if you slide it out further. And what we're going to think when it comes to the contractions, because we don't want to just hold this. Obviously, you want to warm up and you want to spend time in the passive stretch. We want to get stronger. And to build that connective tissue, we've now got length under the palmar fascia, the tissues of the finger, and a little bit of the forearm. We're almost going to think like a squid. So I'm going to find all 5 of the fingers, or I could focus on just 1 or 2 or 3, and we're going to almost squid. So if a squid was trying to escape, it'd go through this motion, and we're gonna almost pinch and squid away. Remember, your first couple sessions, go very low intensity. If 100% was the max effort, maybe around 10 to 20%. After about 3 to 4 weeks, then you can build higher, and make sure you spend a lot of time and you haven't done any other severe grip training like max deadlifts or anything when you do this, because it is a very intense but good stretch. So if I now start to contract my fingers into the floor, I almost think squid away, I'm going to start to slowly build up. Once again, find the end stretch, search for the line of tension that you feel the most, and then I'm flexing into the ground, trying to squid away. And I feel that contraction in the center of the hand. We want to build slowly to be safe, but also to grab onto more stuff. I'm flexing, I'm trying to close off the ground, I'm pinching, I'm pinching, I'm pinching, I'm pinching, I'm pinching, I'm squidding away, Spider-Man that stretch. And then I think about spreading the hand wider as I start to increase the stretch, and you'll be amazed how you feel that all the way, sometimes even to the elbow. And then I would be in the next stretch. Now, when it comes to leaving this, I find if you just leave the stretch, it doesn't feel fun, so I tend to spin this around. And you're gonna be like, oh man, that feels so wild and weird. You're gonna feel like Edward Scissorhands. And I recommend moving those fingers, getting some blood flow in, maybe a little bit of light hand massage. It's an uncomfortable feeling because most people haven't done before. So once again, if it's too stressful on the floor, you can do your Spider-Man stretch here, and we bend the elbow back. Notice how when I do that, I don't simply just drop the palm. I see a lot of people when I teach them this, as they pull their elbow back, they kind of just push their palm to the ground. You can mess with how high the palm is off the ground, but the more I'm on the fingertips, the more I'll feel in the hand. The lower the palm is, the more I'll feel it in the forearm. But remember, we're going for a lot of that hand. So strong Spider-Man, flip that around, pull that back, and then remember, if I take elbow towards thumb, I tend to feel a little bit different stretch than if I'm here. I can bias different fingers, so I might just focus on flexing thumb and pinky, and then we get our contraction. Remember, you haven't done this type of training. Be safe, be smart. This would be wonderful for anyone who holds weights. So that's gonna be everyone. Once again, it just happened to be something I thought of in this video. I wasn't planning on it. You could combine this with a little bit of isometric work. So if you think about a fingertip push-up is gonna be in the same position. So obviously I could do a fingertip plank to start, and then as it gets stronger, fingertip push-up. And honestly, that's a similar training position. It's gonna be not as much loading under stretch, but it's going to still be an isometric for those tissues. So that is gonna be your Spider-Man stretch, Spider-Man hand stretch. I think you guys will find it crazy valuable. I've seen a lot of people do forearm stretches, and especially the ones where they're rocking. Very few people are doing any direct work for the center of the hand, and we all need some type of connective tissue work for that in the elbow, especially as you start to go heavier on maybe pull-ups, or you start to do barbell work heavier, or maybe you're a rock climber. There's lots of people that can benefit from this. We're always doing tons of grip work, and this will be a valuable exercise, so I hope you guys like it.